mission statement prayer, and together we say, the Manitowoc Catholic community exists as sacrament the body of Christ, to love as Christ loved, by boldly proclaiming our faith, teaching our youth, spreading the good news of Jesus, and serving one another and others in an ever-changing world. Amen. So if you ask what should our parish be about, those two things, being disciples and being about this mission in the community of Manitowoc. There we go. It's official start time. The bell is going. Welcome again as we gather for our annual meeting. For our agenda, well, first of all, you got a text message from me last night. I already got 3 phone calls on that. That's a scam. I would not text you and say I'm in the hospital and send gift cards to somebody. That's a scam. Several other priests already got hit on that. So don't fall for that. One person texted it back and they got a response of, oh, I'm really in an important meeting and can't talk to you. Don't fall for that. So tonight as we come together, our agenda. Our agenda is for we got 3 parts. Part 1 is going to be the team leaders sharing each of their parts in the parish so that we know what's happening in ministry, in our current ministry, and what's coming in the next year. Part 2, the next slide will be our planning, our parish mission planning. Where are we going? And part 3 on the bottom of that slide is a social with the Knights of Columbus. They think somebody told me that a meeting without food and drink should have been an email. So tonight we have food and drink when we're done with this. So let's keep going. Questions, if you have questions, there's cards in the pews and we'll have cards downstairs. This year for questions, what I'm going to invite you to do, put your question on the back, put your contact information, and we'll get back with you on that later in the week when we pool them all together and answer them. We're not going to do a big question and answer session here. We're going to answer small questions downstairs, and then we'll get back to you with the answers so that we can get good research on that. So as we come together, we want to take time now to first introduce various groups of people. First, since this is our official annual meeting, we're required to introduce our trustees. Randy Miller, who is absent tonight, and Bob Fricky, who is he also in the back. Turn around and wave at him just so we've identified him. Very good. Our pastoral council is here tonight. I'm going to invite the pastoral council to stand so we can recognize who's on our pastoral council, giving good input to me for the parish. Thank you very much. Finance council. Our number crunchers who read sheets and things that are way beyond me. Thank you for your help. Our Board of Education members. Number of Board of Education members. Most of them have students and there's a hot basketball game tonight. My niece is playing John Stelzer's daughter, I think, in basketball. So let's keep her moving. Deacons. We have a number of deacons with our parish. I want to take a moment to acknowledge them as part of our staff. There we go. Our deacons that are present, thank you for coming, as well as Father Jose, who's with us tonight, and Father Bill, who's on vacation. Now, the rest of the parish staff and any school staff that are here, I'm going to invite them to rise so you get a chance to look at that. The rest of our parish staff and various school staff that's with us. Okay, very good. Now that we got everybody introduced, let's move right into the content of the meeting. And we're going to turn first, and I have the staff in different groups. And my first group is Deacon Mark, who heads up the worship. Deacon Mark?
Good evening. Last year, for the calendar year, we had just over 500 masses, and those were served by 477 liturgical ministers. And that doesn't include any of our choir members, our cantors, our musicians, our church cleaners, our linens washers, script, and anyone else that serve at our masses each week. So I just want to give you a big thank you for giving your time and your service to our parish. And with that, some of those masses were used to celebrate a holy day. And we made them special by creating a parish event around them. So in August, we celebrated Feast of the Assumption with an ice cream social and entertainment in Washington Park. It was Assumption in the park. And it was a beautiful day, it was a beautiful evening. It was our unified celebration, And we were expecting over just about 200 to 250, and we had over 500 in attendance. So thank you. It was a beautiful way to share fellowship, and we are always looking for ways to hold and continue that practice of unified worship. Then in October, we celebrated our patronal feast, Feast of St. Francis, in the Mass at Grand Avenue, right here. And it was followed by a dinner and fellowship at Harrigan Parkside at the Gathering Center. Not in the funeral home, in the Gathering Center. This year, the Feast of St. Francis falls on a Sunday. So we will still celebrate the Feast of St. Francis, and we will have our masses at our worship sites, but then we will have some sort of unified celebration in the parish. So stay tuned. That'll be coming in the future as we plan that out. And then the last thing, I just want to let you be aware of some of the things that Worship Commission is working on. And this year we are addressing several requests from the parishioners on different liturgical practices that we don't always, you don't see a lot. For instance, one thing is going to be chant during Mass. There's been a request from several of the people in the pews about this. So in the next few weeks, we'll be learning 2 new Mass parts. So the Sanctus, or the Holy, 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 and then the Agnus Dei, or the Lamb of God. And we'll be practicing those during winter ordinary time, and then we'll be implementing and using that during our Lenten Masses. So it just gives another element, and it's a way for us to explore the depth of our musical tradition and heritage and our beauty of our church. Secondly, there was a request for an evening daily Mass. And so in Lent, we're going to trial a Tuesday evening Mass at 6:30 right here at this site. We're going to keep it in the same place as we hold our daily Mass. So on Tuesdays, beginning March 2nd at 6:30 right here, we'll have an evening Mass. But we'll need help with that as far as having ministers serve in various ministries. So lectors, sacristans, communion server, etc. So we're going to trial that for the weeks of Lent, and if it's successful, maybe we'll carry it through Easter. And then finally, people have also requested more things such as incense, processional candles, use of bells at the consecration, etc. And finally, we will try to implement those at the 6:30 Mass on Sunday evenings at the Waldo site. So if that's something that you're looking for, maybe you want to take a look at that and give that a try. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Deacon Mark. Also wanted, as our liturgy coordinator and all the good work that he does with that, along with Dan Parish, who does our music coordinating. Your 500 number, I believe, for number of Masses a year is way low. At 8 Masses a weekend, 5 weekday Masses a week, plus school Masses, RE Masses, and funerals, and the holy days, and a few extras. We're well over 700 Masses a year that we put on here in the city of Manitowoc, or rather here in our parishes. Plus there's the noon school Mass as well at, not the noon school Mass, but the noon Mass at the hospital, Holy Family Hospital, which I did today because their chaplain is off. But thank you, Deacon. We want to now turn to adult faith formation, pastoral ministry, and some outreach. And invite, Father Bill covers this area, but we let him go on vacation. So Dan is covering for us. Dan?
Father Doug, you can add about 600 to that 700 that you just gave, because we do about 600 Masses and liturgy of the Word with communion services in a year's time at about 14 different nursing facilities. So covering pastoral ministries, we have a lot of pastoral services available to our parishioners. We usually record our funerals from November 1st through the end of October because of the celebration of All Souls Day. And so in that time frame this past year, we had 165 funerals. And one of the ways that we try to support those families after the loss of a loved one is through offering grief support programs, which we try to offer several times a year. They've been, some of them have been very well attended and received, but we do what we can to help the families of those who have lost a loved one. Some of the other ways of supporting our parishioners is through listening or just spiritual companioning during times of loss or illness or some of life's struggles. Between the priests on staff, the deacons, and some of our other trained pastoral workers, we can be a listening ear and open heart to really responding to you in a prayerful manner and helping you through life's difficulties. So whenever there's something that you may need some assistance with, we're just a phone call away, and we'll always be able to find someone to help you out. The one thing also that I've been trained to do with the diocese is to be an advocate for annulments. So I help to process the paperwork for annulments. So if you yourself or a loved one is in need of a church annulment, we do have that service available to you through the parish. And then we have a parish nurse. We're very blessed to have a parish nurse. It's a wonderful position that fills a large void, and there aren't a lot of parishes still employing those, so we're really grateful to still have a parish nurse in our midst. Kay does a wonderful job of caring for the sick, the homebound, and the dying through her ministries, as well as providing for the health and wellness of our parishioners through the ministries of different educational and support systems. We offer daily visits to those in the hospitals. We have a very active care ministry program which reaches about 35 people who are homebound, and those 35 people are reached by about 24 care ministers. So we're very grateful for that service. It helps to keep those folks connected to the parish even though they can't physically be here. Kay also, as I said, offers support and educational services and information for your health and well-being. And she also offers those services to the school and helps with bloodborne pathogen training and CPR and different things like that throughout the year. We do have a Vigil Keepers ministry, also known as No One Dies Alone. This service is available to make sure that no one is alone during the process of dying. And we are partnering with the Sharon S. Richardson Hospice Program in this ministry. And then lastly, recently we introduced the Florence Nightingale Funeral Tribute Ministry here at the parish, which is a tribute at the time of a funeral for a nurse who has passed away, a time of remembering them and memorializing the wonderful work they did throughout their lives. From there we move on to our Calvary Cemetery and Mausoleum. I don't really need to go through these numbers. I think you can see for yourselves the good things that are happening at the cemetery. The funeral services there listed 194. Those services are for burials and inurnments and interments, an occasional actual funeral liturgy there, but most of those services are for the burial and the final resting place after the funeral has concluded. Moving into adult faith formation. Once again this year we have the Tri-Parish Mission collaborating with St. Thomas and St. Peter, and we are already have already started work on the 2021 mission. So that's been a very well-attended mission the last several years, and we hope to be able to keep bringing new quality missions such as this. We've had different opportunities for days and or evenings of reflection. Many of those have been for women, but we had a Lenten day of reflection not that long ago. Excited to announce that there will be an evening of reflection for men this year. Deacon Mark has taken the initiative for that, and the women's spirituality groups will be collaborating with him on it to offer the hospitality for that night. So we hope to see the husbands of those women there. There are different Bible study groups available. We have Thursday nights Ignite program and Reflections of Faith, women's spirituality groups, And Alpha is a continuing program. We just started another Alpha group this past Sunday, right here at the Grand Site between the 8 o'clock and 10:30 masses. So it's not too late to get into this. We really want you, if you have not participated in Alpha, we want you to make that a priority in your life in the next year or so. We will be offering more down the road, but if you want to get in one now during the kind of winter doldrum season, this is a great time to get yourselves into one. So if you're interested, just show up on Sunday. And then lastly, we have an adult faith formation committee that meets on a quarterly basis, and one of the priorities that we're going to be working on this year is discussing how we can best serve the people that are coming to us seeking the Catholic faith or seeking adult confirmation. Trying to do it in a text box form is difficult because when they come to us, we want to strike while the iron is hot. So it's difficult to say, well, you've already missed the first half, we have to delay you for a year. We don't want to do it that way, so we need to talk about how we can respond to people when they come to us so that we don't lose them while their heart is on fire for the Lord. So that's one thing we're going to be spending a good amount of time discussing. And speaking of that, we move into the RCIA. In 2019, we were so excited to celebrate 3 adult baptisms along with 1 child baptism at the Easter Vigil, and then we celebrated the additional baptism and reception into the faith of an adult at Pentecost. This year, in 2020, as I said, these numbers are fluid, so they could increase. Right now, we anticipate 3 adults being confirmed at the Easter Vigil, along with 4 children, and another 3 adults being received into the Catholic faith and confirmed. So this is certainly something that we're seeing a wonderful increase in, and whatever the Holy Spirit is doing, we just pray that it keeps happening. We also have several adult Catholics who are preparing for confirmation at this time. So one will be confirmed in January along with the youth, and we're preparing several for confirmation at Pentecost. And thanks to the generosity of one of our parishioners, Michael Thomas, we were able to create an RCIA promotional video. It's a really exciting video. Please go to our website and take a look for it. There's some beautiful personal testimonies in there. I think you'll enjoy seeing it. And then also a part of pastoral services is our social concerns and living justice. The graphics that you see up there are just a few of the examples of how we practice our Catholic social teaching. The list is immense, and we are called and instructed to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, welcome the stranger, especially the immigrant, visit the sick and the imprisoned, and this is just a sampling of the many ways that we can live out that call. From there, we move into our Good Shepherd Fund. The numbers had been previously published in the bulletin. These are the same numbers. We're here to say the Good Shepherd Fund is alive and well, and we're grateful to you for all of your donations and appreciate any continued support and donations that you can offer. We offer assistance, referrals to budget counseling, education to break the cycle and the pattern. And we're starting conversations now for a possible citywide central location to process all requests like this for assistance, that there would be one central database and one organization kind of working on behalf of all the parishes, churches in the city. And then lastly, we do have some community and ecumenical involvement throughout the city and county of Manitowoc. This past September, we celebrated the Night of Hope, and this was the first attempt at it. We were thrilled that we had 400 people that came out that night to show their love and support to people struggling with substance abuse or those people in recovery. We want to make this an annual event and see those numbers grow larger each year. The ecumenical group in Manitowoc is focusing many of its efforts on supporting that recovery community. It will benefit Manitowoc in so many ways in the long run. And lastly, St. Francis of Assisi, through my services, offers a Catholic presence to the city and the county as I serve as a chaplain for the city police department and the county sheriff's department. So that's an important thing to know, that when there is a time of trauma or sudden death, that there is a Catholic presence available out there for the people that are receiving the news of this kind of tragedy. So that's all of mine.
Very good. Thank you, Ruth Ann and Father Bill and Kay. It's kind of our adult faith formation, adult stuff going on in the parish that's worked in and by that team. Again, the Good Samaritan Fund, alive and well and reaching out in many ways. And an interesting article I read recently is we should measure a church not by the number of people in the pew, but the number of people in your RCIA program, the number of adults coming in, and the number of families choosing to have their babies baptized. That should be our measurement. My first three years ago, my first year here for Easter Vigil, we had one, and I think he was a teenager or a middle school youth that we baptized, and that was our Easter Vigil. So we're growing in that area. It's great to see that. Now let's take some time and look at stewardship and youth faith formation. Father Jose?
Good evening. I feel like homily time, huh? But no homily, just sharing. I'm in charge of stewardship along with Deacon Mark LeGrief, who's the chair, and then other members that are in here. Our emphasis is trying to not just to get away from this mentality that is all about the money and the asking for money, but our emphasis is trying to make it heavier in prayer and service, leading souls, leading a whole parish to getting closer to the Lord and coming in contact in prayer to our Lord. Our desire is to help our ministries work together and help them realize that everyone is a steward, not just like a committee, but the whole groups. We have 50 plus different groups in this parish and different ministries. I don't know if you knew that, but we're trying to work with all the different groups. We're trying to update the booklets that you're going to see downstairs on the table of the different ministries that we have in our parish. We are always looking for members that are willing to grow in their relationship with the Lord and that are willing to help us in the Stewardship Commission. If you feel that call, please, by any means, let me know, let Deacon Mark know. We'd love to have you there. We also have the Young Adult Ministry, the Lecture Young Adult Catholic. This year they're introducing the Theology Pop series, which is new this year. They're having a different talk every other month or so at a different bars or places where just people gather to have a drink and talk about theology. As a matter of fact, I'll be speaking to one of them in February. I don't know where it is yet, but we'll let you know someday. We also had the singles mixers this year. It's totally new. It was a huge success. Even I wanted to go, but not today. but not to get married, but to tell them that they need to get married in the church. That's what I wanted to do. There's also a young adult retreat coming up for spring, and our young adults more than we're inviting them to come and to grow in that fellowship, to get to know one another, so that together we're able to bring this faith and this church afloat and further. We have regular game nights and fellowship opportunities throughout the days. We are able to find about all this opportunities and great things through the Facebook page of the parish and the young adult ministry as well. Sometimes they're in the bulletin. But we also have our religious education, elementary religious education, the Hearts on Fire. We have table tents that, I forgot mine on the pew, but you're going to see them downstairs, and they're being quite successful. They're a way in which we engage our families into prayer. On the 3 different sides, there's a scripture for the following Sunday. There's usually about a life of the saints, and the inside there's opportunities for the kids to write their intentions for us to pray for them. And they write whether they went to Mass or not. We've seen a beautiful fruit of our families being families that are engaged in coming to Mass throughout this year. So it's been a beautiful success. Downstairs, you're going to be able to see those tents. You're invited to take some home for you to take and pray and ask our Lord to be with you with that. Family nights also, we have once a month parents that are welcome to attend class with their children. As families gather, this is a beautiful and engaging way to get not just the kids, but their parents that come together and have fun. one of the events, we had a soccer night at Roncalli, and I totally had a blast. I think they did too, but it was a lot of fun. It's a way in which we get to know their families, their parents, and they get to know us. One of the beautiful success stories that we've had in the religious ed, it's been with a gal that brought her kid a couple years ago. Jesus was not even part of her life at all. All of a sudden she's coming, we're walking with her, we're discipling her, and her kid is now coming to our school, and now, or not a school, our religious ed, and now she's developed a relationship with our Blessed Mother, praying the rosary, and now she has felt impelled to teach one of our classes. And she went from not knowing Jesus to teaching about the faith. A beautiful example of what our youth, Michelle, is doing with our families. We also have the middle school and high school faith formation. New this year, we've had several options for our youth. We have the Edge for middle schoolers. We have Life Team for our high schoolers. And the new is the Dead Theologian Society. If you ever seen the Dead Poet Society, sort of similar, but it talks about the life of the saints. It gives a beautiful opportunity for the youth to get to know Christ through the life and the example of the people who have gotten to know them, which are all the saints. This offers an opportunity for the youth to have a few more options, whether to see which night they attend. Because Dead Theologian Society is Sunday night, Life Team is Wednesday night, and the Edge is on Monday nights. We have such a beautiful stories as well with age. We had this year someone who joined, a family that joined, and the kid is being so involved and is going home and talking about what we do, how we love her, how we're caring for her, that even the whole family is overwhelmed that she gets a card for birthdays and stuff like that. It's been a huge success for this family and for us. It just simply talks about how Elizabeth is pouring herself out for our youth here in our parish. We also have our family ministry with Diane. She's also experiencing a lot of fruit within this family ministry. This year we got 2 grants from the diocese for lifelong catechesis and evangelization. This money is being used for Alpha, for families on Saturday nights, and we offer childcare for that, for those families that have young kids. So far we've experienced 42 adults coming to those family nights, and about 35 kids that come and are being cared for while their parents are learning about the faith. We also have the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd with a national trainer where 8 Francis of Assisi adults are participating in training and learning how to teach our young adults about what we do at Mass. Like they have like little things about little altars, chalices, candles, incense, everything. They learn about what we use and why we use it. And it's proven to have such a beautiful success with our kids. You'd be amazed to see the reverence with which they approach the altar, and they look and ponder. Kids just looking at a Bible just for minutes, silently, just staring at it, or at a crucifix. You see our Lord so beautifully moving their hearts. There's been a lot of fruit so far in our young adult family and religious ministry. This year we had the Christmas caroling and adoration. It was a beautiful idea from Elizabeth of gathering youth and families that went around the Waldo church and knocked on doors and asked for prayer requests that they were going through, and they were sending them to a group of people in the parish that were praying. They were doing adoration, and the requests were coming on a screen. Screen? Yeah. Hold it. And there were live people praying live, and then intentions coming. And it was such a beautiful. There were so many people that were in need of prayer, and were so moved because we were at their home, knocking at their door, asking to pray for them. There's a lot of hope for our future. We are currently We have the nights of adoration once a month, Sunday night, come in the door, where we have adoration, music, confessions. We're trying to do that, live stream it for those people who can't come to church and would like to adore our Lord through the screen and listen to the music that we're playing. They're more than welcome to. We're going to start doing that in the future. We also are planning on purchasing the Form website. It's an Augustine Institute website that has a lot of different tools to help individuals, parishes, groups grow in their relationship with the Lord through books, through audio talks, through a whole different variety of tools that are offered for our growth in the faith. Just lastly, we're seeing so much fruit here, and we are always in need of more people that are willing to help us, to be present to our youth, to our families, that are willing to be there to walk with our kids, with our young adults, and with our families that are coming and are eager to know the Lord. If you feel moved, if you feel that our Lord is moving your heart to pour yourself out upon them, let us know. We'd love to have people that are willing to serve our youth and our families.
Very good. Thank you, Father Jose. Thank you, Father Jose. And again, Religious Ed is not just the same old textbook and picture of color. There are so many new and innovative things happening for our youth and for our families, really working at continuing to bring them together, continue to give them opportunity to grow. I would wonder why that nice trifold front, that's never showed up at our house. I wonder why that is. Michelle is the worker on that to make sure Father Jose gets one of those when he comes to religion class, or has he been skipping class? Do we need to be talking to him? But, let's not go there. Okay, let's move on to the next part here. I want to welcome up Deanne to talk to us about current operations of our parish.
Thank you, Father. Good evening. We're going to turn our attention to the finances of the parish. You've already seen these numbers that I'll be presenting. They're the results from the 2018-2019 fiscal year. They were in the annual report mailed to you last month. Complete audited statements are available on our website for those of you that are interested in the details, the nitty-gritty. The results there and the ones I'll be presenting here tonight combine both the parish and school operations in one audited statement. The bottom line, the good news, is that we're meeting and balancing our operational budget again this year. There are pros and cons to this. On the positive side, we've incurred no debt. The negative side is that we've had to make sacrifices, and this has been mostly in the area of necessary maintenance expenses. Which brings up tuck pointing. Remember, we had that special fundraising effort in order to do this project. What's the status, you ask? Well, the most critical aspects of the project have been completed. Not all of the bills have come in yet, but we've set aside the money to pay for the balance of the project. We hope to finish it up this summer, but the bulk of it has been done. So, in the end, last year we had income over expenses of $14,683. We had less reliance on wills, bequests, estates, and memorials this past year in an ongoing attempt to be even more fiscally responsible. As a point of comparison, we received $270,000 in wills and bequests in 2017 and 2018, nearly $100,000 last fiscal year, 2018-2019, and we placed in our budget for the current year just $25,000 to make it balanced. So again, we're trying to have less reliance on those. What happens when we receive more than what was budgeted? In short, the Finance Council reviews and advises us on the use of unrestricted funds to either invest it, spend it as needed on our vast list of needs. So I'm going to have us compare what happened financially in 2017 and 18 to what happened in 2018-2019. On the first slide that you see, they're the revenue pies as presented to you the last 2 years in your annual reports, but I've shown to you now side by side. You're almost able to superimpose one year onto another. They are so close in numbers. That largest segment you see is still our parish support, representing 48% versus 47% of our total revenue. Just about half is coming from your envelopes, your contributions in that fashion. The one real change on the entire pie is the increase of revenue we received from the Wisconsin Parental Choice Program, where it grew from 12% to 17% of our total revenue. More children are being educated each year through the funding provided by this program. We're now up to 137 students, and it's surely a sign of the work the schools are doing to make certain that Catholic education is affordable for all. If we go to the next screen, our expense comparison slide, we see that these functional area categories are even more consistent from year to year. The large segment is our youth education, and these are expenses for religious ed, for support of our Catholic schools, and our Roncalli investment. The Catholic ministry segment, the next largest chunk of that pie, is in that category are expenses that for worship that Deacon Mark presented, and for the programs that Ruth Ann presented to us. That's represented in our Catholic ministry segment. The management and general functional area covers things like utilities, printing, postage, telephones, internet, and maintenance. And fundraising and development salaries and expenses is that one tiny little sliver that you see in the pie. If we go back and delve a little more into that large revenue segment of parish support, and if we can see that next screen, please. Over the last nearly 15 years, we've seen very little change in the financial stewardship trend. We have ranged from a high of almost $2.5 million in 2006 and 2007 to a low of $2.25 million most recently. Really a pretty linear line with just a slight dip here at the end. So first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your stewardship of sharing. Thank you. And through your giving, the mission of the parish can happen. By the way, we now have an online giving option. Don't know if we've presented that before. You can find that on the website. And also our ATP, our automatic transfer payment, is still the easiest method to process contributions. The easiest for you, easiest for us. And the forms are always available, but those are the two easiest ways right now. Our next slide shows us the average contribution for giving unit or contributing unit. And just an aside, a contributing unit is someone who gives at least $100 annually. You can see that this has gone up over the last 14 years from an average of about $815 to over $1,000. And the trend line is in the red, and it's trending for that to continue. Wow, what can I say? Again, thank you for your continued support. We have a long way to go to actually tithe as a community, but we're starting to move in that right direction. So if the total parish support is staying flat and the contribution per unit is increasing, what's happening? Well, the number of contributing units are going down, as you can see on the next slide. We're down over 700 contributing units since the consolidation in 2005. That's a pretty sobering fact. Some of it's due to deaths and funerals, but it means we're not holding our ground with baptisms and confirmations, let alone growing the church. We need to reverse this trend if we want to continue all the good work that we do. We recognize this. We've addressed this concern through the parish mission planning process, and we have a plan that will be presented to you yet later this evening. We know that this plan's been a long time in coming, but we very carefully stepped through the process, and together we can make even greater things happen in the parish. Thank you.
Very good, thank you, Deanne. Just to summarize a little bit, the average contributions average family unit donating contributions since 2005, up by $222. But the number of contributing units down by 713. I think the answer is we've got to stop doing funerals. We've got to live longer. But we just want to rejoice that people over the years have become more generous. That is good to see. And that in this past year, physical, did I say the right physical? They were giving me a hard time in the office today because I kept thinking physical, you know, like we get up, lift some weights. We are responsible. That we're 14,000 in the black of income over expenses in the past year. And that's important to see that. And with that in mind, let's move on. Let's talk briefly about our current schools. Steve? Sure.
Again, going off of what Deanne had said, we believe that St. Francis of Assisi and our Catholic school, we want to make that Catholic education available for everyone. And through the different programs that we have available to us, we want to make sure anyone that comes to us, we will work with them to make that a possibility. We are trying to strive to have a high-quality Catholic education. What does that look like? Vigorous academics, really trying to push those academics, but above that, learn the faith in both knowledge and in action. And when we say action, it's through service. We try to do service work within our schools. We also try to get involved out in the community and work with the LaSallian youth at Roncalli to go out and rake leaves. And find other ways, get involved in those Make a Difference days in Manitowoc. We also try to do that through the fine arts and trying to educate that whole child. It's the beautiful thing that our school allows us to do is we can not only look on the academic side of things, that we can help them on the emotional side, but also on the spiritual, and really work with the students to educate the whole child. And with that, through the fine arts, we offer band, choir, and also theater. Also trying to keep our sports competitive because students are more active than they ever have been before, and having that ability for them to have that as an outlet is something else we do. When we look at what do we do for St. Francis, we have been participating at school, not only in our own school masses, but also we have been playing, the choirs have come and sang at the different masses. They also participate in the different masses. If you're looking to see where we will be coming up, I believe during Catholic Schools Week, the middle school will be at the Marshall site at 9 o'clock on January 26th, and the elementary will be on February 1st at the 9:30 at Waldo. So again, it gives you that opportunity to see those students participating in Mass. What are some exciting things going on in our school? We're trying to work again with safety, and one of the biggest issues I think schools face today is safety, and so we continue to work with our students and staff to make sure that our schools are safe places for students to be and learn. So we have gone through the ALICE protocol, and we continue to practice with that through drills with them. We have had the opportunity this year to work with Roncalli High School, and as a 3K through 12th grade, we are aligning our curriculum. Those are some big words, aligning curriculum. What does that mean? Basically, we are trying to work together to make sure that as we go from a student in 3K, 4K, that we have a linear, that we go through our entire education, and we are building upon that to just make it a stronger Catholic education for our students coming into our schools. Along with that, our 4K and kindergarten are going through Catechesis of the Good Shepherd along with our religious ed program. Again, that's that hands-on opportunity Father Jose spoke about, and we've seen some really beautiful things come out of that. Not only do they learn about Jesus and his life, but also the Mass. And that's an important part that we can do as a Catholic school to help build that understanding of what does it mean to be Catholic. Other things going on, we have added a financial literacy class for our 8th graders. So one of the goals is that our students, when they leave St. Francis, as they head into high school, they'll be ready for whatever jobs they might be heading into. And we have, through the generosity of donors, we have been able to purchase, it's the Dave Ramsey's course, and that's just a great opportunity for our students and families to learn about how to be ready with money going into their future. Through the fine arts, just a couple other things. We have Getting to Know the Sound of Music, February 28th, 29th, and March 1st. It's a little plug. If you'd like to come and see our middle schoolers, we'll be putting on, basically it's an hour version of the Sound of Music. So if you, at Christmas time, if you didn't get through the whole 3 hours that's on TV, we've reduced it to just an hour. So hopefully we'll see you there. And then Catholic Schools Week is coming up where we are celebrating the students, staff, and we are one as we move forward into the new school entity, trying to really push that and do some activities to celebrate everyone. On to school enrollment. This is kind of a nice thing to see. The middle school has over 175 students in grades 5th through 8th. The elementary school is at 309, and I broke it down there in 3K, there's 22, 4K, 46. Both the 3K and 4K programs are great opportunities and great, it's where parents can test the waters of what are we as a school, and it is what we build through our school is through those programs. So seeing those being strong, it's a great opportunity for us. And so when you take a look at that, our enrollment is at 484. That is a 3% increase from last year. If you were to look at our last 5 years, that is a 21% increase. For anyone understanding in the grand scheme of things, Catholic education is growing slowly across the diocese. We are an outlier in the increases we are seeing in this community. So again, it just shows you that there is that, there's people out there that are looking for more for their children and hoping that and praying that we are that opportunity for them. So again, it's a great way to teach that faith through our Catholic schools. And again, why do people come? We'll always ask parents, you know, what is it what's bringing you to St. Francis? And the 3 things that usually come up is the environment. We've heard we have that family environment. The academics always is an important thing. And then a community who shares the same values that we want for our kids. So again, we're seeing some great things on that. Again, we thank you for your generosity, for what you give to the parish, but also in your prayers as well, because it's through prayers that we're able to continue to grow and help share the faith with the families that we serve.
Very good. Thank you, Steve Thiele. Also, thanks to Kyle Kapanus, who's out sick today. And you know the sports rules. If you're out sick and you can't go to school, you can't play the game at nights. So he's home sick. So, Steve, do you use those table tents also at your house? Table tents are through the Catholic school as well, going home. Wonderful way of sharing a little bit more there. Keep in mind, our Catholic school, then, what we're looking at there, we're just under 500 in enrollment. We're in old buildings, we're tight on space, we've got a number of limiting things in that, and we need to think larger than just parish, we need to think regional. But just hold that thought for a moment. We need to take a little mini break here first. So I'm going to suggest the length of a weekday homily, which is 2 to 3 minutes. Let's have a stand-up. First of all, think of one thing in your mind, that one positive thing that you heard so far tonight. We're going to stand up and talk. You're going to share that with somebody around you. Bathrooms are in the back if you need those. And no, you cannot go downstairs to the Knights of Columbus social yet. That's going to be after our next session. Okay, stand up, 2 minutes.